It's already getting off to a very rocky ride for the PBC in its opening event on Amazon Prime. It ain't looking good. And now it's even looking worse because Keith Thurman and Tszyu, we might not be seeing it. We're going to talk about why in this video, but before we do that, make sure you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's cook. So getting straight into it, man, Keith Thurman and Tszyu, a fight that I was actually looking forward to. At first, I was like, man, Keith Thurman gonna get knocked the F out. But Keith Thurman know how to sell a fight. He talk that good shit, and he make you want to see him in the ring, because one thing about Keith Thurman, he's always in exciting fights. It's never a boring moment with Keith Thurman when he step in that ring. And Tszyu, man, he an up-and-coming monster. He been pretty much running through everything. So Keith Thurman moving up a whole weight division to fight Tszyu, it was looking bad for Keith Thurman on paper. You know, I had Keith Thurman probably getting stopped, but then I started going back and forth because, like I said, Keith Thurman, he'll sell you. You know, he a hell of a salesman. But the card that was going to headline Keith Thurman and Tszyu as the main event, and then the co-main event with Rolly and Pitbull Cruz, it looked like it might not go down because, of course, once again, Keith Thurman is injured. Now, they was trying to keep this a secret, and shout out to Ness from the Boxing Voice because he's the one that got this news and put it out to the world. So I got to give him his credit for bringing this to light. First of all, he said that he heard from a source that was very close to Keith Thurman that Keith Thurman suffered a bicep injury and he might have to pull out the fight. Now, somebody else on Ness's show, they talked to Keith Thurman's trainer, and Keith Thurman's trainer flat out lied and said that the information wasn't true. Now, when I heard dude say that he talked to Keith Thurman's trainer, right, and Keith Thurman's trainer said it wasn't true, I felt that Keith Thurman's trainer was telling a lie, K. Corona, because I'm like, man, they just don't want the news out. And then shortly after that, Ness, he talked to Keith Thurman, and yes, the news is true. Keith Thurman admitted that he is hurt. He's waiting on the MRI, and the MRI will determine if he goes forth with the fight or if they're going to have to just, you know, pull the fight, cancel it. Now, this is bad either way because even if the MRI comes out negative and Keith Thurman is able to perform, ain't nobody really going to take him serious. Because if he going into the ring against Tszyu, already hurt in a fight that he was already a big underdog, who going to take it serious? And we know, man, Keith Thurman just has a slew of injuries. He had the elbow injury that kept him out over 2 years, and then he came back and fought Josecito Lopez and then Pacquiao, right? Then after Pacquiao, he stayed out 3 years, came back and fought Mario Barrios, and he ain't been in the ring since then. So Keith Thurman is coming off of over a 2.5 year layoff. It'll be almost over 2 years. Once again, if you look at Keith Thurman's resume, he's only fought 2 times in the last 5 years. So we already hearing it. Is this the end of Keith Thurman? I mean, he, 35, 36 years old? So can Keith Thurman now even get through a whole training camp without being injured? Like, for real, this is a serious discussion because, man, it ain't looking good for Keith Thurman, and it sure ain't looking good for PBC. We haven't had a PBC event in, I believe, like 4 months. This was going to be the opening event on Amazon Prime, and if they got to scrap this fight, they may have to scrap the whole card. And if they got to scrap the whole card, this being on pay-per-view, like I said, the first event on Amazon Prime, it ain't looking good. It's looking real bad. It was already looking bad if you ask me because they wasn't promoting the event. How are you going to go with a big entity like Amazon Prime and you don't really promote the event? Like, the thing is to show Amazon Prime that we are a powerhouse. We can sell big pay-per-views. You know, we can bring you guys a whole lot of viewerships. That way, next time around, y'all put a lot of money into the PBC brand. But they wouldn't promote it like it should be promoted. And that's the problem with a lot of these events in boxing. And I'm not just talking about the PBC, I'm talking about boxing events overall. These promoters ain't promoting like that no more. And yeah, the fighters do what they can, getting on social media and things like that. Keith Thurman, he was promoting the hell out the fight, but Tszyu, man, he ain't really a big talker. And then when it comes to Rolly and Pitbull, Rolly know how to promote, but Pitbull can't speak English. Pitbull don't promote. So, man, it's up to these promoters in times like this to really get out there and promote this fight. Like, soon as I pop on Amazon Prime, I should see PBC pay-per-view all over it. But I don't. You know what I'm saying? Now, they might have it on there now. I ain't checked in the last few days, but I was checking. And it wasn't nothing about PBC having a pay-per-view on Amazon Prime on the platform at all. But like I said, they might have it on there now. I got to go look. But as of recently, they didn't have nothing on there. So, man, as far as PBC, I don't know what they're going to do if Keith Thurman got to pull out this fight. But as far as Keith Thurman's career, this might be the end for Keith Thurman. I mean, if you look at the landscape, who else is he going to fight? He going to have to go fight Jaron Ennis? And he don't want to do that. If he is injured and he got to go and heal up and do rehab and all that, we might not see Keith Thurman in the ring for another 2 years. And if that go down, it's done. Look what they did to Gary Russell. Gary Russell got injured. Gary Russell was another fighter that was always out of the ring. It wasn't due to injuries for him, but he ain't had a fight since. And that would happen in 2021. Gary Russell still ain't been able to get a fight. Keith Thurman, he say that, PBC, they was sitting him on the shelf. He couldn't get a fight. Now what you think gonna happen? Because they're not going to be confident to put a lot of money into Keith Thurman again. You know what I'm saying? They probably put a lot of money into this event. Even though they're not promoting it right, they still probably put a lot of money in it. Are they going to be willing to do this again with Keith Thurman? Knowing that he's older, not having confidence that he can get through a full training camp? I'm just saying, man, this is a bad look all the way around. I feel bad for Keith Thurman because I like Keith. Keith is a hell of a fighter. Only took one L to Pacquiao, and he was injured in that fight. But in that fight, he just decided to go through with the fight because it was a lot of money. He didn't want to miss out on that 10 plus million. He even said it himself. But this time, the news is out. Ness put the news out. Now everybody gonna know. It's gonna spread like wildfire. And also, if he do go in there injured, now your opponent already knows. Is it even smart to go into this fight knowing that your opponent already knows now that you have a bicep injury? Nah, because if I'm Tszyu, all I do is aim at the injury. I'm going to rough his ass up. I'm going to make him hurt. And I know he can't throw the arm with full strength. So, man, this is a bad look. Keith Thurman probably going to have to pull out. I don't know what's going to happen with this card. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again. And I'm gone.
I slide, glide, choking on that lead.